It's time to get started with Infrastructure as Code. Our lab this week is going to be pretty much a quick one. What we're going to do is actually deploy our very first CloudFormation template, which is Infrastructure as Code. Now, if you haven't worked with it before, you'll finally get a chance to see what Infrastructure as Code looks like. And it's pretty great stuff. It gives us a lot of potential security benefits. It does have some security risk with it as well. And we're not going to really cover much of any of that. The reason we are going to use it today is because as we go through these labs, this is going to let me give you code templates that you can run in your environment to set labs up. One thing we'll use it for is so that you can shut things down in between labs and not have any cost from Amazon, and then just hit these templates, build everything back up, and be ready to go for the next lab. In other cases, we'll use it for more complex operational stuff that's just going to take you a lot of time and doesn't have any real security educational value. I've got big libraries of templates just to build those things up so we can focus on the security bits. Now, what is infrastructure as code? Infrastructure as code are basically files, and it's usually written in JSON or YAML, those two languages, that describe what you want an environment to look like. You plug that through the engine. In the case of today, it's CloudFormation, which is built into Amazon. Or you could use something like Terraform. Well, actually, that's kind of the only other one I know people using. Or you'll use Terraform, which is an application which interprets the template, looks at everything, figures out what order to build everything in, and then sends the API calls into the cloud environment to make the changes. With CloudFormation, the one we're going to use today, those API calls just happen within Amazon. But if you look in the logs, like CloudTrail we set up last week, you can actually see it's just making the same old API calls you could make yourself. Terraform does the same thing, except you can run Terraform from anywhere. It's just not built into AWS. Now, one of the reasons, as from a security standpoint, I love infrastructure as code is it is deterministic. What do I mean by that? The code templates are declarative. You're writing in those templates what you want something to look like, and then the system is going to figure all of it out, build it in the environment for you. The end result is what you have written down is what should actually be running in your Amazon account or wherever else you're using that infrastructure as code. This is great from a security standpoint because we know what an environment's supposed to look like. You don't have to run around and try and figure out, is this misconfigured or is that misconfigured? You've got code that tells you exactly what that's supposed to look like. So it's great from a security standpoint. The other thing is the reason we use infrastructure as code from a development standpoint is it is consistent, so that ties into what I just talked about, and it's repeatable. I can run that time after time after time in different environments, and it's always going to build the same thing, which is why I have one version of the template that we're going to use for these labs. And many hundreds and eventually many thousands of you will run that template, and all of you will see exactly the same thing. Great for backup and recovery. It's great to help you in your security response because now you know what things are going to look like. So infrastructure as code is wonderful. It does have a few drawbacks. For example, one of the problems we see is you as security might detect a problem and go in and fix that problem in a part of your incident response scenarios, and then the infrastructure as code is going to redeploy that problem again if you don't fix it at the source. That's what we talk about when we talk about shifting security left. It's actually getting rid of those things in those templates so that they're not actually out there and running in your runtime environments. When it gets to be really fun, and I'm not saying I've ever seen this, but maybe I did, is when you have security automation fixing a problem, and then you have your infrastructure as code redeploying that problem, and it's kind of like BattleBots in the cloud, and the only winner is the cloud provider, and the loser is your credit card statement. All right, so with all of that background, let's go over just a few key points and check my notes here, and then we're going to jump in the lab, which is only going to take about 5 minutes. Infrastructure as code defines your running infrastructure in a declarative template. It is CloudFormation is the infrastructure as code tool built into AWS. That's what we're going to use today. Terraform is the biggest other infrastructure as code tool, and it probably is bigger, to be honest, that people are using out there. We don't use it for our labs because I don't want you to have to like run code someplace. We'll use it in later labs down the road. Now, infrastructure as code makes infrastructure repeatable, consistent, and portable because you can run it anywhere. And it's deterministic. You get the roadmap of exactly what something's going to look like, but mistakes can be made. You can make mistakes in your templates. And the more you work with infrastructure as code, sometimes you realize it may not always do things in the right order or work the way you think it should, because it's still just another abstraction in code. So you can get errors and you have to kind of learn how to deal with those. All right, let's go ahead and, before I do that, I actually want to show you a little infrastructure as code and describe it. So we're going to switch gears over here. Going to pull up my whiteboard. This is the template that we are going to run in the lab today. It's about as simple as we could make it. Now, what this template does, I'm going to walk through and describe it for you. So the first thing is we have to define the version of the template that we're working with. And the description is just a description of what it is. So in this case, that's the format version. So it's whatever. I don't actually keep track of those, but apparently they do matter when you get into the weeds of things. The rest of it is pretty simple. So the first part is the resources. Now, this is not everything you could have in an infrastructure as code template. This is really, like I said, it's really scaled down. But this block is the stuff to build. Stuff to build. So everything is going to be in that resources section of the template. And we can have hundreds. I have templates, I think, with a couple of hundred different things that are being built. This one, we're only going to build one thing. Now, the next is, this is a little bit different. This is the name. And this is like the internal variable name. This matters because you could imagine if I build a network in my infrastructure as code template, and then I want to build a security group in that network. When I build the security group, I have to build the network first, but I don't have like the ID of that network yet, not what the real ID is in Amazon. So then I just say in my security group, I can just refer to that network. So it's just kind of an internal reference thing. And as we get into more complicated templates, you're going to go ahead and see that. Now, the next is, what is the type? So what are we building here? We're going to be building a simple notification service topic. The simple notification service can send out emails or text messages, or you can actually use it to build messaging buses internal to your applications and hit HTTP endpoints, all sorts of stuff. You can actually dig into the documentation if you want to take a look. For our purposes, we're going to use a very simple notification. And the topic is, if I send things to that topic, then anything that subscribes to that topic will get the notification. For the lab today, we are only going to create the topic. Now, we could have done this pretty easily in about 2 minutes clicking through the console, but I want to get you in the habit of knowing and understanding how infrastructure as code works, because we are going to use it a lot more later. Okay, so we've got the topic set up, and that's the thing that we are actually building. So we'll just call that the thing. If any of you can read my handwriting, let me know, and I don't know, you'll get an award because I have horrific handwriting. Then for the thing we are building, what are the properties? And this, it's as simple as it gets. There's one property, which is, what is the name of that topic? So really simple. We're building one thing. This could have been much larger and built hundreds of resources, thousands of resources. But in our case today, we're just building the security alerts topic. That's our internal name for it. We could have called it anything we wanted. It's an SNS topic. And of the properties of that, we're giving it that topic name of security alerts. Start by making sure that you are logged in using that admin user that we created. Make sure you're not using your root account. Okay, the lab would still work with the root account, but we want to get out of that habit. Next thing is check your region. So click in the upper right corner here. We want to be in the US West Oregon region. That's where we'll do most of our labs. It performs pretty well. And everyone needs to be in the same region for consistency's sake, because some stuff will break later if we're not all using the same region for these labs. Then we'll go into CloudFormation itself. If you don't have it on your quick list like I do, just go into that search box, start typing CloudFormation. Yes, English is my fourth language. And we'll see this come up. So in CloudFormation, a stack is what we're building with the templates. So you take your template, that's going to build a stack. Each template will build a new stack. Although you can actually have stacks embedded in other stacks, all sorts of crazy complex stuff we're not going to get into. We're going to keep things really simple today. Click Create Stack. We do have a template ready. It's going to be an Amazon S3 URL, and this is just something hosted in one of my S3 buckets. Now, if you're following along on the blog or in the newsletter, you'll have this so you can copy and paste it. So check one of those sources to copy and paste. If you're just on YouTube, you probably at least want to be checking the blog for these labs, because as we go, there'll be a lot of things where you do need to copy and paste. If you try and pause the screen and type that in, guarantee you'll make a mistake, but hey, it's your time. You can do whatever you want. All right, click Next. Now we're going to give it a stack name. Let's call this one Security Alerts. If you remember from just like 2 minutes ago, that's what we're building. We're building a Security Alerts SNS topic. Later, we'll subscribe to this, and we'll start feeding in security alerts from a bunch of different sources, and those will show up as probably as emails or text messages if you want to get text messages at 3 a.m. when something goes bad. Then we have all of these stack options we can configure. Yeah, we're going to ignore all of those today. Future labs will get into it. Just click Next, scroll all the way down again, and then click Submit. Now, you'll see Create in Progress. This does refresh, kind of on its own, or you can just hit the refresh button here, and you can actually see everything that it's doing. And that stack is already complete. Trust me, I have ones that take a lot longer than about 30 seconds to run. But these are all the steps. So create in progress. So it's creating user initiated. You can see that it's creating the resource itself, which is the topic. Then it's completed creating the topic. Then the entire stack itself is complete. You can look at all sorts of other stuff. We don't have any outputs. You can see the template. So it's not like somebody can do something in your account and you don't know about it. Anytime you find a weird stack, just go to the template. It's deterministic. You'll see everything that you expect to see there. And the events will show you where it worked or where it broke. For example, if I ran this in the account where I'm hosting this file, it wouldn't work because there's already an SNS topic called Security Alerts. There would be a name conflict and it would error out. Last thing to do, go back up into the search box. And just to prove to you that we've done this, type in SNS, click on Simple Notification Service, and whoa, dashboard, what's going on here? You see we've got one topic, and there's our Security Alerts topic. So we're not going to subscribe to it. We're not going to use it for anything else. Just know that's there now. Now, the last thing to cover about this, which is really one of the wonderful things about CloudFormation, is if I go back in and I click on my stack, I can go ahead and delete the stack. That will tear down all of those resources. Now, again, sometimes there's a naming conflict. Usually if you have like files in an S3 bucket, that's going to be a problem. But click delete, that stack goes away. You're not going to get billed for it. We're going to use that a lot down the road. You can also update a stack with a new version, and CloudFormation will try and figure out how to make that look like take the resources that are already there and make them look like the new version. And that's probably one of the most common ways things will break. The other way they break is through drift, where you have manually made changes to a stack, and then you've asked CloudFormation to delete it or do something else with it, and the stuff doesn't look the same. But it is surprisingly resilient. It can work in a lot of different circumstances. Anyway, nice quick one. Hope you had a great day, and we'll see you next week.